There. All right, guys. Hopefully you can hear me. Mic check. There you are. It is working now. I'm trying to. There we go. That's a whole lot better. I can see my stream and everything else in between. What is up, guys? Welcome to the stream. We are, well, they were supposed to launch the rocket here in about the next 14 minutes, but it looks like they ended up having to delay it for whatever reasons. Let's see. I'm gonna try to. Optional features. Unfortunately, cannot keep the stream to share later on. Why? Well, SpaceX likes sending these little things saying, hey, don't use our stuff. Thank you. Gotta delete most of it. So hopefully another 31 minutes until they actually decide to fire it up. And if they got some talking going on, we'll go ahead and lower the volume of me just so we can see what's going on, or kind of hear what's going on at that point. Stream options, cards. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully they're able to get this up without any kind of issues like, explosions. Because explosions are generally pretty bad, just saying. Send out a tweet for the people that really don't follow me very much, but maybe they might want to today. What is up, viewer? How are you? Ready for the launch to go? I know I'm ready for the launch. It does get a little annoying that, you're sitting there waiting for it to happen, then all of a sudden, boop, it's delayed. Thankfully, it's only like a 20-minute delay or so, could be a matter of wind, it could be a matter of really anything that could be causing them to actually delay the launch. Just hope they didn't find anything that's going to cause it to go boom, boom, boom. Granted, their last few things that they've been trying to do, testing out their SN series rockets that are supposed to be going to the moon and to Mars and such. They've kind of epically failed, blown up completely, frozen, fallen over, sprung a leak. But it is nice that SpaceX is trying to push the boundaries of all these things that they're actually building so that they can actually make sure the stuff is going to be safe. So they're doing stuff that hasn't really been done on this scale in a very long time. And, you know, the amount of stuff they're looking to launch into outer space, into different planets, to the moon, you know, it's something that they've really got to test, and test some more because they don't want to have people sitting in or on top of these rockets and most likely it's going to blow up. So they've got to launch it, they've got to test it, much like their Falcon 9s. They've just got to keep testing them to make sure that they're good, that they're not blowing stuff up. You know, I watch some people doing some of these live streams online, and Space Eccentric. He's one of my go-to ones that I would normally find that is actually streaming this consistently. He's pretty consistent when it comes to it. If I'm able to, I'm going to go ahead and stream if I can. But generally, whenever something is, one of these rockets are going to launch, I'm generally at work myself, because, I'm an essential worker, Yes, we're all essential. Just a matter of who we're essential the most to. I guess what it boils down to. But if any of you are actually human, drop a line in the chat. Say what's up, what's up. And we'll start a little bit of a conversation. I mean, I've been fascinated with space since I was a child. Obviously, for me, the space shuttles were very big. I was watching when the Challenger actually blew up back there in the 80s. I was in class and I didn't know what happened. My teacher started crying and had no clue why my teacher had fallen apart like she did. But seeing everything years later to where I'm more knowledgeable on things that have actually happened in the past and, our history of space exploration, or knowing it a little more. I'm not going to say I'm the most knowledgeable person on it. It makes you wonder why things like that had to happen. And I say the old saying is you got to crack a few eggs. That's true, but it's better to crack the eggs when there are no people on board of a ship like this. So that's something that we all kind of have to cross our fingers for, that we're not going to have that issue again. So but hopefully some of you actually will learn something from them as they're doing the launches, or if you haven't watched any live streams before, even if you don't watch mine, watch SpaceX's directly, and maybe you can learn something about the space that is going on right now. Too many ads blocked. Ooh-ha. Now on infinite. I blocked that many? Jeez. Assuming there's not going to be too many people watching with me, because I'm still pretty small channel. But you are more than welcome to watch with me. Not really too much that we can talk about leading up until obviously the launch. Could be a matter of maybe we could watch trailers while we're waiting, but we can sit here and just talk. You know, what have you guys watched before in terms of live streams? Have you watched anything SpaceX related? Or have you gone back and watched some of the previous missions, either to the moon, any of the Mars missions, with all the rovers that are out there? Hey, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Prop up your feet, grab some chips, and hopefully it doesn't get delayed again, because it did get delayed a little bit for the next launch. So it was supposed to happen at 3:35, but 20-minute delay. Hopefully it's no more delays. Look a little more into what it is that we are actually launching. I do appreciate you guys coming. It's a new GPS satellite. So this is pretty much what they're saying. I'll continue with my ad blocker. It's going to launch a Falcon 9 carrying an advanced GPS satellite for the U.S. Space Force. Liftoff set for 11:35. I'm going to be launching from Space Launch Complex 40, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. It's going... Oh, this is actually their first mission for the U.S. Space Force. So that is actually pretty cool that this is actually going to be a first mission for the newly formed U.S. government or U.S. military force. I did actually see that new TV station or that new television show they released on Netflix, Space Force. That's really about all I can say about that. Was just sigh. Really, to me, it really was not that great. It could have been a whole lot better. It had a couple parts where, it was chuckle worthy. But I don't think I'd want to say that it was super funny or hilarious or anything like that. So that's an issue, at least for me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just talking a little bit of space. Could be talking video games. We can talk movies. There's just so much stuff that we can talk about until the launch in the next 20 minutes. So, what got you into space? Whoever's watching. Oh, yes, I am wearing my Bullet Club shirt today. Why? Because, well, I don't have a space shirt, and it was clean, and I wanted to wear it. So, you are a wrestling fan too. Wrestling is always an awesome topic to talk about. Got a couple people messaging me about the launch and video games and computer stuff as well, because I am into computers quite a bit. How about you? Let's see. What's this thing talking about? I have no clue what this thing's talking about. Content and all that good stuff. Want to stream now in the classic form? No clue what they're talking about. I find it funny looking at some of the live streams that are going on right now. Like, sitting here looking at just SpaceX's main picture right here, where people have given it a thumbs up and a thumbs down, and you got 37 people that have given it a thumbs down. Let's give it a thumbs up just for the heck of it. And the rocket hasn't even gone off. Maybe they're upset that it got delayed a little bit. Because, yes, I'm pretty certain it said 3:35 is when it was originally supposed to launch. So they must have had some sort of an issue, maybe coolant issue. Maybe it had to do with maybe the wind, weather, giving it a chance to kind of settle down a little bit. And maybe they'll actually kick over to a little something over here when it gets down to about 30 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. I think if I had anybody that I would like to meet these days, it would probably be somebody like maybe Elon Musk. Elon Musk, he would probably make my head hurt with how he talks, which is a good thing because he's a brilliant, brilliant man. Jeez. What is up? Welcome. We're just okay. It got delayed again. Okay, so it is now 4:10. Do a little update here so that it makes me wonder if they're going to continue to delay it like it is. They may end up having to cancel it altogether. And hopefully it doesn't get delayed, especially since this is the first mission for the Space Force. Gotta wonder what the Space Force is fully going to be about. Are they going to eventually take over NASA, maybe? Maybe merge with NASA so their funding is pretty much all one entity rather than, multiple entities more than anything else? Very hard to tell when it comes to that. I don't know if I'd necessarily want to see them merge together. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome, welcome. I know many of you came in to see the launch. It was originally supposed to be at 3:35, so it's had 2 delays so far. It did get postponed up until 3:55, and now it is looking like it's going to be 4:10. pending, you know, hoping that there's no more issues that may push back the first U.S. Space Force mission. But hopefully you guys are going to kick around and watch it with me here. I'm sure I'm 100% not the only person streaming this. So maybe mine will be a little easier for people to chat with each other as this one is going. As you got many of the other people that are streaming it, and they've got hundreds, if not, thousands of people watching. And it's like, what kind of elevator do we want to ride in? Elevator that's got a few people in it? Or an elevator that's makes you feel like you're in a sardine can? So it's some of these SLS Starship is going to be very big once they can actually get all the configurations set like they need to have. Well, wait, let's see what any of the other streams are actually talking about, and even talking about anything.
Will it be a drama or documentary? I think it's going to be some action movie. I don't think it's going to be a documentary. And he's going to go up in a crew dragon, so that should be absolutely epic. And let me just real quick see. Nope. All good. So that should be, for him especially, a once in a lifetime trip. He's done all sorts of crazy stuff in his life before. He does most of his stunts by himself, so he should be up for the task. And to be honest, if I had the chance, I'd go too. Absolutely awesome.
This is actually streamed
from Adrian. Thank you for the super chat. Good idea with Tim Dodd or even Scott Manley. YouTube? Go 4K. I had an interview with Scott Manley.
He's got some really good content as well.
2019.
I'm just turning down a little bit here so you can hear me a little bit. I've watched this guy a bit. Him and Space Eccentric, nice, they are both really good streamers when it comes to space, SpaceX, the rockets. They are both very knowledgeable kind of people. I'm just kind of a very basic kind of person. I'm just kind of around
somebody else to do an interview with him because I thought it was really interesting to interview him.
Maybe as a hobby, just to kind of watch the things that are going on when it comes to space in general.
Absolutely awesome opportunity. If you see this, Scott, keep it up. You're doing an absolutely awesome job. I love your content, honestly. Absolutely, really nice guy. Also in private, really nice guy. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, we have John Carlson. Great job, Felix. Love your stuff. Keep it up. Thank you for the support. Lucas, thank you very much. Marcus,
I don't have anything like he's got where
plot twist. You delayed the launch on purpose so you could rake in more. No, I did not, and I really hope that the rocket's going to take off.
Get more support.
And we have Mike there. Thank you. Gwynny will look good in 4K. We will get the camera, you get the interview. Exactly. We've got Florian Behnke again. Thank you for the super chat. Let's give him that 4K money. How much left? Right now we have 400 euros, German euros left on the camera. You guys are absolutely awesome. Yeah, awesome. I watched a Finnish comedian, Mikko, one of my team members. He's out there as a moderator right now. Showed me the guy, and since then I've been confusing all sorts of words with, because he did a stand-up comedy about that word. So I'm very sorry. There you go, Mikko. Yeah, you did that. We got Andre Pop, thank you very much for the super chat. I hope in 2030 we can make a colony on Mars. Yeah, I hope so too. From Romania and
I'm
work in
definitely looking
Austria.
forward to a
Thank you,
colony on
thank you,
Mars
thank you.
if we can
We
ever
got James
get there.
Perry. You are amazing, actually, for these
Stop blowing stuff up, Elon.
I've never seen this before. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. We got KW. Is Dragon meant to be reusable vehicle or is it one-off? Really enjoying your content. So it is for NASA. I think it is one-off, but it is reusable, and I think SpaceX is planning to use already used Crew Dragons as cargo dragons later on, or as Crew Dragons for their own flights.
There's
They are
my guy
planning
right
to
there,
do
Space
space
Eccentric. He's
tourism
my
with
other
them,
guy that I
so
watch.
that might be an option. But I think NASA is just doing one flight with each Crew Dragon. So, but they are reusable. Yes. Richard Williamson, new member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, link your YouTube account. Very important. Install Discord, link your YouTube account. Join us in the Discord. It's absolutely awesome in there. Jacob, again, thank you very, very much. On behalf of Stephen Nankaro and all who can't donate, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is absolutely incredible. Jamie Green, hey Felix, can you name check my two sons watching you from the hot tub? Sunny Bear and Harris, good evening. Enjoy your time in the hot tub. Absolutely awesome. I hope you're watching the launch from the hot tub. Okay, let me try to do a few more questions here. We've got insane amounts of questions as well, and I really don't know how to. Okay, guys, you're crazy. Florian again. Oh, you're absolutely awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your support. That is absolutely incredible. Okay, boom, 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 boom. Let me go down here again. Okay.
Look at a few things while we're waiting for this to happen.
We've had that.
We've actually had that many people click on?
I'm trying to catch up with the questions here, and I really am lost which ones I've answered already. Let me just see. And if I'm missing one, don't be sad. It's crazy tonight. It really is. We have 3,700 people watching right now. This is really, really cool. We have Omar.
3,700. I got
why
0.
Can't the Starship land like the Falcon 9? It can.
Sad for
when
me.
It's,
but it's okay.
Well, what do you mean with land like the Falcon 9? Do you mean the leg design? Because Starships, of course, will be able to land because they are fully reusable. A Falcon 9 is about... Well, give me a second. 1 second here. So this is a Falcon 9. This is an absolutely awesome model. I got it from Buzz Space Models, and the guy does an absolutely awesome. If you are looking for a really, really cool SpaceX model, by the way, get this. Buzz Space Models, really, really cool guy. Shout out to him. Ollie is his name. Absolutely awesome. So the Falcon 9 is about 80% reusable. It goes up to here. Everything above that is the second stage, and everything above that is the payload, or in this case, the Crew Dragon capsule. And Starships will be 100% reusable. That, of course, means that the Starship lands. And it's going to be very similar in the end approach. So when it lands, it'll have legs and it'll land propulsively. But when it comes down to the atmosphere, it'll do a skydive maneuver, which is... you got to see that starships are meant to have to go to other planets, so much further than a Falcon booster. The Falcon booster goes barely above the Kármán line and then comes down again. So that's 120 kilometers or so. And the starships are supposed to go to Mars and then take off from Mars again and come back to Earth. And when they reach Earth again, and Earth has a very dense atmosphere, they are really, really fast. Planetary entry speeds are much, much higher than any Falcon booster ever reaches when re-entering the atmosphere. And so they have to have a heat shield. And if you wanted to go down engines first through the atmosphere, the heat shield would have to cover the engines as well. And that would be really complicated to have some sort of folding in heat shield, and you couldn't use the engines, and it would be really, really difficult to do that engineering wise. So they chose to do it the same way that the space shuttles came down. So it'll have a heat shield on one side and go through the atmosphere, and it'll do a skydive maneuver. So basically, once because it can't glide, the Starship was a glider. So the Starship, not the Starship, the space shuttle, fell through the atmosphere and then started to glide at a certain point. Starships won't be able to glide. They will fall like a stone, or as Elon Musk says, like a skydiver. Basically, skydivers fall like a stone. And it'll use the flaps on the sides to adjust its angle and flight path. And once it's fairly close to the landing site, it'll do a belly flop maneuver, which basically means it uses all the thrust vector control and all the reaction control thrusters it has to flip over.
Welcome. We are just
land.
Looking at
so that'll be
another streamer's
absolutely epic to see.
Stream right now.
I'm really, really looking forward to that, but we're a bit far away from that still. Let me just move this rocket.
A live stream. He just has a whole lot more people than me, so
destroy this brilliant model.
I want everybody to kind of at least enjoy themselves.
And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So that's why they land the same way a Falcon booster does, but the rest of the approach down to the atmosphere is wildly different.
Smarter than I am when it comes to the SpaceX. I just
re-entry speeds.
Enjoy watching them go up and then come down, preferably in one piece.
We have another question, a really interesting one because I get that asked a lot. We have Agnes Lomas. Why are starships not stacked horizontally? Because the stainless steel rings are really floppy. They don't hold their structure very well, because on a normal or on a Falcon rocket, you have an internal structure. Normally, I think ULA calls them octave web structure. You can see that really nice in ULA's videos that they put out about the Vulcan construction right now. And you have a similar thing on the rocket on the Falcon boosters. That gives the hull a lot of structure. And Starship right now is completely missing that structure. If you would flip a Starship as they are building it right now horizontally, it would crush like nothing. It would just go down. It will fold together. And so that doesn't work. They have to stack them vertically right now. So that's the reason for that. I don't know if that's going to change in the future, if they're going to have more structural support. It would be really heavy. So it might be that they're going to do this forever. It's unknown right now. It's a really interesting question, though. That's why I picked this to answer, because I'm probably not going to answer all the questions tonight. Here's to life. Why aren't they piggy banking a Starlink package on this flight? It's because it's a DoD launch. It's Space Force. That is a government thing, and the hardware is partly, at least, secret. And so there's not gonna be. This is exclusive. They have a lot of taxpayer money, and so they booked this flight exclusively. That's the reason. And it's a pretty heavy satellite. It's 3,600, 3,500 something kilograms. So that is a pretty hefty payload.
Space Force.
It doesn't go anywhere near max capacity, but as on its own, it's a pretty heavy satellite. And they booked this flight for themselves. So there is not going to be a rideshare today. Hey, we have Akil C. Hey, Felix, do you watch Anton Petrov's channel? Yes, and I don't know how the guy pumps out so much content. Absolutely awesome guy. If you're watching this, Anton, I take a bow in front of you. It's
hey, what's up, James?
Awesome
Thanks for dropping
in.
in.
Very interesting stuff. If you don't know the channel, go to Anton Petrov. If you have
just doing a little streaming here of
for more content,
actual SpaceX.
Anton Petrov is your address. The guy is absolutely
launch is going on tonight.
Absolutely awesome.
Well,
Tor Pedersen.
Hopefully
Felix,
within the next 15 minutes or so.
Just college.
They stop
in
delaying
Germany, it's
it.
called different, but I've got a college degree. I never went to university because I was too busy with all sorts of ideas in my head, and so I never really had the time to go study. And I'm a really, really quick learner too. I was actually it might sound strange, but I was a little bit bored at school all the time because they taught me the wrong stuff, and I was really quick at learning, and so I was pretty bored. And when I went out of college, I really didn't want to go on with any. There we go. Let me turn this down real quick so it doesn't blast into your ears. The space.
If I had more people in my chat, would maybe having a. Would have to be watching.
Desktop audio is still muted.
This guy, which
there we go. I'm
it's fine.
this up. have the
He's just
nice
got a lot
music
more
in the
content than
background,
I do,
think
and
you
doing
should still be able to
his
hear me
streaming a
pretty
whole
good,
lot
and
longer
as
than
soon as
me.
I start talking, we're gonna give it a go. Okay. Anyone that has done a super chat, which you guys are absolutely, you rock. You seriously deserve you rocks tonight as much as I can pump them out. Absolutely incredible support. If I have not done a shout out, or if I have forgotten you, please don't be mad. I
Don't be
appreciate
mad.
your
Be
support
glad.
so much you can barely imagine. Absolutely awesome. Thank you. I think we've reached the 4K camera tonight, which I would have never thought would happen. So thank you. Wow. Absolutely awesome. Okay, give me a second. I'm bringing up the chat again.
4K camera.
Yep, SpaceX is live. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna switch the.
Jeez. Pretty crazy.
That should be the right scene. There we go. Let me just. And there's that thing is so outdated now. I don't even look at that.
Show tips.
Give me a second. There we go.
There we go.
So I'm gonna take this thing down a little bit. Give me a second. Should be this guy here. Yep. There we go. Take this down a little bit. There we go. Because that is still just the music playing. I'm looking forward to this launch right now. Seriously. Thank you guys for joining me. You're making this evening a delight. Seriously. It's always so much fun to watch this stuff with you. That's why I do these streams. Because it's the perfect opportunity to interact with you guys. Absolutely awesome. Thank you for showing up.
Let me actually switch over to the SpaceX one now. Let's go back to SpaceX. There we go. So here we are. This is live streaming straight from SpaceX. I go full screen with it now too.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, June 30th, and on your screen is a live view of the Falcon 9 awaiting its 4:10 Eastern Standard Time launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. My name is Shiva Bharadwaj, and I'm a space operations engineer here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. And welcome to our webcast coverage for the GPS-3 Space Vehicle number 3 launch for the United States Space Force. Now, the Global Positioning System, or GPS payload, is one that you're probably familiar with. GPS satellites provide a diverse range of positioning and timing services for both civil and military purposes. Now, the United States has been launching GPS satellites for the last 42 years, and today marks the 75th launch. This launch is also particularly special because it honors the memory of Colonel Thomas Falzarano, commander of the 21st Space Wing, Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. The Space Force has dedicated this mission to his memory, and we will hear directly from General Raymond and others who knew and worked with him before we enter into the first coast phase later on in the broadcast. Now, let's take a closer look at the vehicle that will launch the GPS-3 satellite and help us honor the memory of Colonel Thomas Falzarano. On your screen is a view of Space Launch Complex 40 with the Falcon 9, our 2-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle, and it's getting ready for launch. Falcon 9 stands about 230 feet tall, which is greater than the wingspan of a 747 aircraft. Now, the bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is a brand new first stage, and its job is to accelerate the entire vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere up to the edge of space. Now, unlike our first GPS-3 mission from December in 2018, we will be attempting to recover the first stage on our drone ship named Just Read the Instructions, and it's currently stationed about 350 nautical miles off the east coast of Florida. We worked with our customer following our earlier GPS-3 mission to ensure that we maintained more than enough performance margin for both the primary mission and a chance at recovery today on that first stage. Now, above the first stage is the second stage, and about 2.5 minutes into flight, it will separate from the first stage. Then it'll ignite its single Merlin vacuum engine to carry the GPS-3 satellite into a highly elliptical orbit. The apogee, or the highest point of that orbit, will ultimately end up at about 20,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface, at which point the satellite will then separate and then perform some burns to enter into a circular medium Earth orbit about 20,200 kilometers above the Earth. You'll also notice that the second stage fuel tank is painted gray today, and that's so we absorb a little more heat from the sun while we're not eclipsed by the Earth. That helps the fuel tank stay at the proper temperature for today's mission when we go into the Earth's shadow. Now, at the very top of the rocket is the payload fairing. The GPS-3 satellite is currently enclosed inside of it, and it's 17 feet in diameter. It protects the satellite from aerodynamic heating, loads, and contamination during the ascent portion of the mission. But once we reach the vacuum of space, we'll jettison those fairing halves back to Earth while the second stage continues to take the satellite to orbit. The fairing halves that we're using today are brand new, and we will be attempting to recover them using our recovery ships, Miss Tree and Miss Chief. However, we aren't planning a catch attempt today, and instead we'll scoop these out of the water later on this evening.
Oh, that's
Now,
nice.
finally, next to the rocket is that large truss structure that we refer to as the Transporter Erector, or TE. The TE rolls Falcon 9 out to the launch pad, raises it to the vertical launch position, and also routes power, fluids, and communication to both the rocket and satellite.
Good afternoon. I'm John Innsbrucker, Falcon 9 Principal Integration Engineer here at SpaceX.
Hey,
We're
John.
coming up on 9.5 minutes to launch, and to get to this point, we rolled Falcon 9 out to the pad Sunday night, about 41 hours before launch, and we went vertical on the pad at roughly 10 a.m. local time yesterday. The chief engineer held his technical poll at T-minus 1 hours, and the launch director held a propellant load and launch go, no-go poll at T-minus 38 minutes. The vehicle is healthy.
Less
We are
than 10
currently
minutes for
working,
Space Force,
no
guys.
issues. Now, if we do have to call a hold on today's launch, we have a backup opportunity tomorrow at 3:51 Eastern Time in the afternoon. That's about 4 minutes earlier than today's opening of the window. Now, right now, we're targeting the end of the window just after 16:10 Eastern Time for liftoff. Now, after the go-no-go polls, Falcon 9 has been loading propellants. It began at T-minus 35 minutes. We began with fuel going into both the first and second stage, oxidizer into the first stage. For fuel, we use a refined form of kerosene known as RP1, rocket propellant grade 1. Our oxidizer is a super chilled liquid oxygen, and we call that LOX. Now, currently, the second stage that you can see outlined with that gray paint that Shiva mentioned, that fuel is completely loaded. We're still loading fuel on the first stage. That'll go until T-minus 6 minutes. And as you can see from the plume streaming off of the first and second stage LOX tanks, we are continuing to load liquid oxygen onto both of those stages right now. We're also loading helium gas onboard storage vessels on the first and second stage. The Falcon 9 uses helium gas as a pressurant in the fuel and the LOX tanks. As the Merlin engine pumps pull RP1 and LOX out of the tanks, we have to fill the empty volume, what we call ullage, with helium that is heated by the engine. Heating the helium helps expand it to fill the tanks. Now at T-minus 7 minutes coming up here, engine chill will begin. We'll hear that call out. This is where we allow a small amount of the super chilled liquid oxygen to flow past the turbopump inlets. That cools them down to avoid thermal shocks when we light the Merlin engines at T-minus 2 seconds. Finally, you can see to the left of the rocket is the transport erector, or what we also call the strongback. That will retract away from the rocket about 2 degrees at T-minus 4 minutes. That gives the necessary clearance for Falcon 9 to begin the liftoff sequence. Now on top of Falcon 9, we have the spacecraft. The spacecraft team has transitioned the GPS satellite to internal battery power. That happened at T-minus 15 minutes. They're working no issues, and there are no further actions required of the satellite before launch. We're launching out of the eastern range, and currently the range is go. They're ready to support. The air and the sea space is clear around us. They've also been launching the balloons for us to help get the weather. The weather from clouds, lightning, electric fields right now is go. What we've been watching is the upper altitude winds. The gradient from one altitude to the other has been borderline where we might exceed the load capability of the Falcon 9. We are currently go. We will get one last weather balloon piece of data coming up here in a couple of minutes. But right now, all systems continue to be go for a liftoff just after 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time.
6 minutes.
Now,
Open to
as
go.
we mentioned earlier, today's mission is for the United States Space Force, and we're launching the GPS-3 Space Vehicle number 3 as our payload. Now we'll hear from Lieutenant Colonel Margaret Sullivan, Material Leader of the GPS-3 Space Vehicles, and Tanya Ladwig, Acting Vice President of Navigation Systems at Lockheed Martin, to learn more about today's satellite.
We use GPS every day. Today, everyone has GPS technology in their pocket.
25 years of space-based position, navigation, and timing, supporting the entire world.
GPS touches the lives of everyday people all the time.
Got it in our phones.
It's changed the way we work, it's changed the way we play, with over 4 billion users worldwide.
It's a giant computer.
We're already preparing for the next generation of GPS satellites with our GPS
What's up, guys?
follow-on contract.
Appreciate
and
you
we're inserting
stopping
greater
by for the
technology
stream.
for greater capability.
The brand new United States Space Force owns this premier asset and provides this position, navigation, and timing service to everyone.
And for all personnel on the countdown net, we have an update from GNC informing us we have a good weather balloon. Proceeding on with the countdown. T-minus 4 minutes, 20 seconds and counting.
Yes.
Today's GPS-3 Space Vehicle 3 mission is dedicated by the Space Force to the memory of Colonel Thomas Falserano, and we will hear directly from General Raymond and others who knew and worked with him just before we enter our first coast phase later on in the broadcast. Now, we're currently just inside 4 minutes from liftoff. We did get the good news just a moment ago that the latest weather balloon is go for launch, so we're going to continue to count down. We've begun retracting the transporter erector strongback away from the Falcon 9. You can see it on your screen. Moves back a couple of degrees to get us ready for liftoff. Now, the Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. The vehicle remains in good health. Fuel loading is complete on both the first and second stages. Liquid oxygen loading will wrap up shortly on the first stage and will complete at T-minus 2 minutes on the second stage. At 1 minute before liftoff, you'll hear the announcement that Falcon 9 is in startup. That means the rocket's own internal computers on first and second stage are controlling the launch countdown. The GPS-3 space vehicle continues to be go. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. The weather has turned green for us here in the last minutes, and the range continues to be green for launch. Now again, as a reminder, if we don't launch today, we have a backup opportunity at 3:51 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow.
First stage LOX load complete.
Launch director has just called out that the first stage LOX load is complete. We're now loading just liquid oxygen on the second stage. Approximately half a minute, LOX loading should complete on stage 2. T-minus 2 minutes. That announcement tells us that that chill-in that we began at T-minus 7 minutes has lasted long enough. And we are good for the ignition sequence on the Merlin engines coming up in just over a minute and 40 seconds. Coming up in the background, you can see some white plumes coming off of the strongback.
Yes, close up the starter.
There's a nice view. We have completed loading the second stage. We're now draining the liquid oxygen out of the plumbing that goes up that structure alongside the rocket. And as we vent off the gas, you get that nice long plume you see there where that humid Florida air meets the ultra-cold gaseous oxygen, condenses, giving you that nice white fog. That's normal for this point in the count.
Falcon's in startup. AFTS configured for flight.
Launch director is announced. We're inside of a minute.
Here we go.
We are in startup on the flight
50
computers.
seconds.
We are also beginning to pressurize stage 1 and stage 2 for launch.
Mission directors, go for launch.
We've heard the final call-outs. Mission director, launch
That's the
director
Space
are go
Force.
for launch. So at T-minus 30 seconds coming up, all systems are go for launch of Falcon 9 with
T-minus
GPS
30
3
seconds.
Space Vehicle number 3.
Come on, come on, come on. Want to see success. I think they've, out of ones they've launched, I think they only had one blow up
T-minus 15 seconds.
a couple years ago.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
There we go.
Liftoff. Go Falcon, go GPS.
Alright, there it goes.
Vehicle is pushing down range. Speed chamber pressure down.
Go, baby, go.
T plus 40 seconds, we've heard callouts, and now we're entering the throttle
Power
bucket. We're
telemetry
powering down the
nominal.
Merlin engines to relieve the acceleration as we get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket, now we're beginning to power back up. We hear the call out exiting throttle bucket, the 9 Merlin 1D engines
Mach
going
1.
back to full power, and we are now supersonic.
We're supersonic. We can do it.
Max Q.
Guidance engineer calls out max Q, the period of maximum dynamic pressure, or Q, on the vehicle. From this point forward, although we go faster and faster, the thinner atmosphere will put less loads on the airframe of the rocket.
That is awesome. The camera can actually keep
Coming up
moving
next
that
is
fast.
chill-in of the upper stage engine. We've got a good trajectory.
And back engine chill started.
We've begun the chill-in of the upper stage engine. Power on the Merlin 1D engines looks good. Avionics reports everything is nominal. And we're 2 plus 2 minutes into flight. Next major activity in half a minute, shutdown of the 9 Merlin engines, separate the first and second stage, and ignite the second stage engine to carry GPS and the second stage into the first of 2 orbits today. This one will be the initial parking orbit.
Switching over to the actual onboard camera any old second.
Falcon 9 preparing for MECO.
If you don't know what MECO is, it is main engine cutoff.
And MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
There we go.
And we've confirmed ignition of the second stage engine after a good stage 1, stage 2 SEP. You could see briefly the Falcon 9 first stage in the background.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
Call out that both vehicles are following the planned trajectory. First stage continuing to coast to apogee, where it'll then slowly turn around and descend back to the drone ship for landing in the Atlantic Ocean. The second stage engine beginning the long burn to get it into the parking orbit.
Acquisition of signal, Maryland.
Coming up, fairing deploy. Waiting to see the camera switch forward.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Boom.
And we've got fairing separation. The 2 halves of the Falcon 9 fairing separating, the pneumatic system unlatching the locks that hold it together, and then the pneumatic pushers separating the 2 halves. As the fairing falls away from the vehicle, we can see on the left side of the screen the grid fins, the large titanium castings that are mounted to the first stage have deployed. They'll be used later as we come back into the atmosphere for precision guidance of the first stage to land on the drone ship.
What are those things?
On the right-hand
Birds?
side, we see the second stage
Acquisition
engine
signal,
continuing
Bermuda.
to burn.
Oh,
It's
that's
at full power.
on off.
Everything's looking good with the trajectory.
Coolant.
So at just past T plus 4 minutes
Like
into
ice.
flight, everything is go on the flight of Falcon 9 with GPS 3, space vehicle number 3.
10,000 kilometers an hour. That's pretty freaking fast.
Plus 4 minutes and 25 seconds into flight. We're currently in the first of 2 planned Merlin vacuum engine burns. Currently looking at the data, the second stage engine burn is nominal. On your left-hand screen, you can see the first stage as it's performing that reorientation that John and I talked about. The grid fins are deployed, and you're seeing some thruster plumes there from the attitude control system that are getting it ready so that the 9 Merlin 1D engines are pointed towards the atmosphere as it re-enters into Earth's atmosphere. Beautiful views of the planet beneath both the first stage and the second stage. Second stage is continuing into its burn. We're expecting this burn
Both
to
vehicles
last
continue to
about
follow nominal
5
trajectories.
minutes and 15 seconds. And entry burn will actually begin on the first stage in just about a minute from now. During the entry burn, we'll ignite 3 of the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. That'll give us a chance to slow down the stage as it ends up re-entering the Earth's atmosphere and reduce the aerodynamic loads as it starts to bite into the thicker parts of the air around our planet. You can see the Merlin vacuum engine on your right-hand screen, the nozzle extension there growing red hot. That's expected. We're really, we have such a long nozzle extension on there to try to get the most performance out of the pressure coming out of the thrust chamber on the second stage engine. So coming up here in about 15 seconds is entry burn. Watch for that on your left-hand screen. That'll ignite 3 of the Merlin 1D engines, while second stage continues to burn towards that elliptical orbit with the GPS vehicle on board.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Here it comes back down.
Stage 1, entry burn has started.
There's successful ignition of the 3 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. We're expecting this burn to last just about 30 seconds.
And we're not going to go the entire time until they release the whole payload out, because we could be here for another hour or so, guys. But getting it up there, what I wanted to see, the rocket.
Stage 1, entry burn, shutdown.
And you see some bursts there. Successful shutdown of the engine and some attitude control bursts just to get that orientation right. Now, once we get into the thicker parts of the atmosphere where those grid fins have some aerodynamic control authority, they will do most of the guiding to take the first stage towards our drone ship, named Just Read the Instructions, which is about 350 nautical miles off the east coast of Florida. Coming up at about 50 seconds from now, we'll have 2 events happening about the same time. The first stage will ignite its single center Merlin 1D engine for landing burn. About the same time, the second stage will perform secondary engine
Stage
cutoff.
2 has entered terminal guidance.
Or SECO number 1. And while those 2 things occur, about 25 seconds later, the first stage will hopefully touch down on our drone ship. In between there, deploying its landing legs. So watch for that on your left-hand screen.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Drone ship, AOS. Stage 1, landing burn is starting.
Ignition of that center Merlin engine on the first stage.
SECO 1.
Successful confirmation of shutdown of the Merlin vacuum engine. The guidance engineer is evaluating the orbit of the second stage now.
Nominal parking orbit.
Nominal parking orbit,
Landing
that's
legs
exactly what we want to hear.
Come on.
Landing leg deployment looks like right down the center.
And
looks
stage
like
1
a
is
successful
landed.
landing.
Recovery operators move into
I see a first stage. Excellent.
All right.
So that's, we first flew Falcon 9 10 years ago, actually this month. Since then, it's completed 88 missions, and now the most flown operational rocket in the United States. This mission completed its first landing, and hopefully we'll have many more to come.
Stage 2 expected.
The vehicle is now, we're actually going to enter into our first coast phase, now that we know that the second stage is in a successful parking orbit. That coast phase will last about 54 minutes and will end with our second stage relight at about T+1 hour and 3 minutes. We're going to come back shortly before that to cover the second engine start, number 2. Now, as we had mentioned earlier, today's mission is dedicated by the Space Force to the memory of Colonel Thomas Falzerano, commander of the 21st Space Wing at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. As a leader of the Air Force's fifth largest wing, he commanded a workforce of approximately 4,300 space professionals worldwide. We'll now hear from General Raymond and a number of Colonel Falzerano's colleagues in the Air Force and Space Force about the impact he had on all those he worked with.
I can think of no better way to honor Colonel Tom Falzerano and his family than with today's launch of our third GPS-3 satellite from Cape Canaveral. As a former commander of the 45th Operations Group, Tom not only understood the critical importance of our launch capabilities here on the Eastern Range, but he dedicated his entire military career to ensure our nation's space capabilities like GPS continue to fuel our modern way of life and our modern way of war. Tom was an incredible officer, leader, father, and friend who made a difference. He was in his prime as he led the 21st Space Wing at Peterson Air Force Base at such a critical point in our nation's history. Before that, he served as my senior executive officer, who worked tirelessly behind the scenes and put in long hours as we established the United States Space Command, our nation's 11th Combatant Command, and the United States Space Force, our newest branch of the Armed Services.
Also signal Maryland's expected.
Tom made a difference in the lives of his teammates and those he led. He will always be remembered for caring for his people while taking care of the mission. Tom had that unique gift of connecting with everyone he came in contact with. He always had a smile and a word of encouragement, no matter how demanding the situation was. Tom made a difference in the lives of his family. No one loved family more than he did. And in fact, Tom made us all feel like we were part of his family. As we watch today's Falcon 9 soar high into space, let Tom's legacy be a reminder for all of us to make a difference every single day, and how our greatest legacy is found in the relationships and the investments we make in the people around us. My sincere thanks to SpaceX, the 45th Space Wing, and the entire launch team for honoring Tom's legacy.
Nobody knew how much the United States and our international allies rely on space capabilities every minute of every day more than Colonel Tom Falzerano. Tom took his mission responsibilities very seriously, but he was passionate about developing and taking care of the people under his command. Although we lost him well before his time, his outstanding legacy will live on through the air and space professionals he led and mentored during his 26-year career. For Tom's family, and in honor of his memory, on behalf of the 6,000 professionals of the Space and Missile Systems Center, we will continue to protect and defend the global commons of space and continue to mentor our people, which he so clearly cherished.
Today's launch is dedicated to a warrior, a husband, a father, a friend, an American hero, and a man whose example and leadership will continue to influence our Air and Space Force well into the future. We're dedicating today's launch to Colonel Thomas Falzerano, who was the commander of the U.S. Space Force's 21st Space Wing when he tragically passed away a few weeks ago. In a way, dedicating this GPS-3 launch to Tom is wholly appropriate, as this next-generation satellite provides navigational guidance to the nation and the world. So did Tom provide lasting guidance and inspiration to all those he led and served with. It has been our great privilege to have known and served with Tom Falzerano, and we are proud to dedicate this launch to him.
Colonel Falzerano was a strong, steady leader who was an instant friend to everyone he met. He built lasting connections everywhere he went, and he cared intensely about everyone. Here at the 21st Space Wing, we miss him every day, but we'll honor him and continue our mission. Strength and preparedness always.
Colonel Falzerano led us by example to give of ourselves completely and compassionately. He taught us what it is to be built to last, to ensure what we build today will outlive us and last for those who come after us. As we reach again to the stars, let us strive even higher to be built to last.
It's only fitting this launch today be dedicated to Colonel Tom Falzerano, a great American hero. On behalf of the 50th Space Wing and the men and women of Schriever Air Force Base, thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, and most importantly, thank you for your partnership over the course of the last year.
Colonel Falzerano, teammate, leader, wingman, guide. Much like the GPS, you get people to where they ought to be. Proud to have served with you.
Colonel Tom Falzerano was a true friend of the 30th Space Wing,
and a personal friend of mine. I've known Tom for over 20 years when he and I were captains together at the 564th Missile Squadron in Great Falls, Montana. Tom is the kind of person who would do whatever he could to help another airman. He looked out for the folks that he led, and he looked out for his peers. And it was my privilege for the time that we were serving as wing commanders together to serve next to him. Chief?
Sir, I had the pleasure of working with Colonel Falzarano as a teammate in Air Force Space Command headquarters. Consummate professional, consummate leader. You're missed, sir.
We're gonna miss you, Tom.
It is so fitting that we as an Air and Space Force remember Colonel Tom Falzarano with his GPS launch. Tom spent a lot of time in Florida, and in particular, as the 45th Operations Group Commander, he sat on crew for many of our nation's most important launches. Tom was truly a people person who loved his airmen and enjoyed hearing their stories. He was caring and kind to everyone he met and always found time to brag about his family. To Stacy and the children, it is our honor to represent the 14,000 men and women of Team Buckley and honor Tom for his leadership and service to this nation. For many of us who personally knew him, we'll light a cigar in his honor after a successful launch. Here's a toast.
It's my pleasure, along with other leaders of the United States Space Force, to honor the life of Colonel Tom Falzarano during the SpaceX Falcon 9 launch of the next GPS satellite. Colonel Falzarano is a former commander of the 45th Operations Group, and his legacy is felt throughout the Eastern Range. We have a saying in the 45th Space Wing: once a shark, always a shark. And the sharks of the wing are so sad to hear of the passing of Colonel Falzarano. We'd also like to pass on our condolences and tell Stacy and the children that our thoughts and prayers are with them. Falsey, I just want to say thank you for your many years of friendship to me personally, and to your many years of service to the United States and the United States Space Force. You left us too young. You are and will continue to be missed. Thank you.
Alright guys, well that's going to do it for the stream. The rest of it is not going to be finished for about another 45-50 minutes. But for those of you that did stop by the stream, I do thank you guys for showing up. Guys, have a great day, and we will catch you next time. And as always, remember guys, game on.